Hi guys, That Song Review Guy here, and yes, this is it, my third list of 4, my top 10 worst hit songs of 2015. Well, another year, another set of lists to be made. 2015 was a very mixed year, if truth be told. Personally, I don't think it was as strong of a year as 2014 was, but it'll definitely go down as being way better than 2013 ever could be. We got our fair share of really good songs, but that can equally be applied to the crap we were given as well. And after some careful consideration, I finally picked out 10 songs from around 20 that I consider to be the worst that 2015 had to offer in terms of hit singles. For those of you who aren't familiar with the lists, let's lay down the rules. It's very simple. All the songs that landed on the official charts company's year-end 100 list were all available for selection. If it didn't make the year-end chart, it doesn't count. Keep in mind that these are my personal picks and you don't have to agree with any of them, and you're all more than willing to leave your own lists in the comment section below. First, the dishonourable mentions, songs that were close to making my worst of list but failed to do so. Once again, David Guetta finds himself on my shit list and he's dragged along Nicki Minaj for the ride. Great, 2 shit sandwiches for the price of 1. To be fair though, this is probably one of Guetta's more palatable pieces. Opening up on an almost tribal sound and infusing it with EDM production, throwing some horns, obviously fake I recognise, and hand claps is a great production piece. Unsurprisingly, it's Nicki who ends up fucking everything up. In particular, the second half of the song where her lyrics become degrading with lines like, yes I do the cooking, yes I do the cleaning, plus I keep the nana real sweet for your eating, yes you be the boss, and yes I be respected. Okay, so we have Nicki Minaj being outright misogynist to her own gender, and I have to ask, what's new? Did it really need to take Nicki to be detrimental in a song that became a hit single for people to finally wake up and realise what has been apparent for years now? Well, apparently so. And no, I'm not defending the lyrics whatsoever. I'm just pointing out the professional critic's idiocy. So how about this for a premise? This woman called Pia Mia, God, her parents must have hated her as a kid, is just so enraptured with both Tyga and Chris Brown, because what 19-year-old female wouldn't be head over heels for these two twats? She wants to go back to that one night when they both kissed, whichever one of the two that she's referring to, and wants to go beyond being friends. Putting aside the barely listenable instrumentation, Pia's vocal delivery is simply awful. Tyga drops expensive car brands and celebrity names way more popular than his own, and Chris Brown's inability to be subtle in any way, claiming to want to do a 19-year-old better than the first time and loves it when her booty is shaking on him. And also dropping the N-word when referencing to himself is hilarious. It's an ugly track with practically no redeemable qualities to it. You know, it really is a shame that this was chosen as Nick Jonas's first release, since the follow-up was 1,000 times better and therefore naturally made no headway in the chart, and this is what we got instead. If you check out my review of this track, go for it, because I can't really add anything new. Perhaps it could have been saved with a rewrite, since the production is pretty decent for pop music standards, and less of the nut-crushing falsetto would also be a step in the right direction, but overall, it's mediocre at best. My relationship with Ellie Goulding has always been a rocky one. I never went much on her at the start of her career. She won me over with her album Hudson, but she's gone and lost me again. Love Me Like You Do may have been her most successful song of last year, but that was passable despite being tagged to the 50 Shades of Grey film. But it's this song that really strikes an odd tone with me. Ellie spills out about not understanding why she is still infatuated with some guy that she's no longer with, who apparently didn't love her in the first place and is left wondering why she can't get him off of her mind. Ellie, quick question here. Why should I care about this failure of a relationship after you admitted that you got with this guy simply because you liked his tattoos? Putting that aside, the instrumentation is too disjointed, the production feels too cluttered, but worst of all, Ellie's vocals are just awful. Her wispy delivery is very hit or miss, but here it's just so god awful, and it isn't improved at all in the chorus where her vocals are laid with so many effects, she sounds nigh on robotic. And here we have another outing from these two walking pieces of human feces that popped up on everybody's worst of or dishonourable mentions list. And I'm sorry people, but much like Loyal from last year, I find this song far too pathetic and far too hilarious to stick it on the worst of list. In fact, it's getting kind of sad now seeing these two teaming up so much and releasing the same sort of drivel. It's another track where the beat's pretty decent, the production's quite good, even with the unsettling childlike vocal popping up every now and then, and both Chris Brown and Tyga proceed with lyrics that keep making me laugh whenever I hear them. Constantly trying to build themselves up as smooth lady killers when one of them is too busy screwing underage chicks and the other one is actually on course to one day murdering a woman, as well as referring to themselves as the N-word. Yeah. Okay lads, keep deluding yourselves, if only to keep amusing the likes of me. Just in case no one watching this has seen my review of this song, I'll include a link in the description box. The crux of this song is yet another one of these tracks where Iggy actively supports the notion of hooking up with some random guy for superficial reasons, admits that this guy looks like trouble but passes it off as one of these, oh well, that's just little old Iggy for ya. Yeah, great way to promote healthy relationships, picking your encounters wisely and not choosing some arsehole just for the fuck of it. As well as a wasted cameo from Jennifer Hudson, overall this was one of the most forgettable tracks of the year, and the longer it stays that way, the better. You know, Kid Ink had a really bad year last year. His first album showed decent promise despite it predominantly being nothing but luxury rap, but nevertheless it was an enjoyable listen. His follow-up Full Speed was a sloppy, rushed project with little value and failed to produce anything of any worth. Here he tries his hand at a pop smash hit with Fifth Harmony, and the result is pretty lazy. His contribution resulted in nothing but the same verse repeated twice, and the girls are no better. Their contribution is basically each of their desire to have this guy to give it to them because they are worth it. Keep in mind that one of these ladies was 17 during the recording of this track, which is unsettling in and of itself. The two things that save this song from going on the worst of list is the instrumentation, which is pretty good, and the harmonies, despite a couple of questionable areas. For the most part, they're both solid. Before I go straight into the list, I'd be remiss not to give a couple of dishonourable mentions to two more tracks. 7-Eleven by Beyonce for being an atrocious piece of audio garbage that should never have been created in the first place, a song that has no defence and nothing in terms of redeemable qualities, and Dear Future Husband by Meghan Trainor, which, if the track had garnered enough in terms of sales, would have easily have been my pick for worst hit song of 2015. So thank you UK public for surprising me with your unusual good tastes regarding this track. Now that those songs are out of the way, on to the main event. You know, it's tough whenever I see other critics giving artists a hard time that I personally don't think deserve such. One of these artists that got a fair bit of flack last year was Sam Smith. Many well-known critics on YouTube brand him as being uncharismatic and lacking in personality when it comes to his music, and I vehemently disagree with those views. But when I hear him releasing material such as this, it makes it difficult for me to defend this guy. Okay, on the surface, this song is highly inoffensive and not the worst song that Sam Smith has ever done. It's going to have to take something truly bad to topple Life Support, a deep cut on his debut album In the Lonely Hour. But the reason this song lands on this list is for sheer laziness and incompetence. Putting aside the fact that this song is supposed to represent the James Bond character, as a standalone song, it really is a huge step down for Smith. His other releases had such a raw quality to them, a real emotional punch that was undeniable, and he connected with the lyrics perfectly. Here, on the other hand, it really feels like he's slumming it. A decent instrumentation cannot take away from the sloppiness of the lyrics, the falsetto that's overused and sends a chill down my spine whenever I hear it, and not for the right reasons, and Smith's overemphasis on the subject matter that honestly has no resonance at all. Don't get me wrong, songs written in a small time frame do have potential to be good. It hasn't hurt Sia in any way, shape or form. But if this was the best that Smith could come up with, he seriously needed to go back to the drawing board. For a more in-depth analysis, check out my review of the song. Sorry Sam, you slipped up here mate. I still like it though. 2014 was a pretty poor year for mainstream hip-hop, and to be honest, this year wasn't exactly any better either. Now more than ever, there seems to be a real deficiency of good quality hip-hop songs making it onto the radio. And it becomes even more apparent when shit like this gets as popular as it does. Okay, pop quiz. How many people do you think wrote this song? Have a guess. No, go on, take a wild stab in the dark if you need to. Give up? Okay, I'll tell you. 14 people wrote this song. That's right, 14 people contributed to this piece of obvious genius that I'm just completely impervious to understanding the depths and wisdom that this song leaves on listener. But seriously, did anyone out there miss this waste of a human skeleton? After Sage gets through with telling the listener that it's going down for real because, well, clearly before he came along it was all going down as fake, in which later he goes on to make a Hurricane Katrina and bronchitis reference. Classy one there, dickhead. Flo graciously tells the listener that he gets off with bisexual women and goes off to rap about his favourite topics. Money, cars, how many women are just chomping at the bit to ride his steroid-injected dick, himself, and how incredible he is. Yeah, that's right, he is so incredible that his verse consists of incoherent rambling about nothing of any relevance and nothing of any importance, topped with a messy, warbled and sloppy production and an electric instrumentation that'll leave you with a migraine for a week. So Flow Rida, this song's title is supposed to remind me of graffiti. Well, unfortunately for you, mate, I hope you're proud of the results, because no one else is. Not that long ago, I checked into the Rap Critic's YouTube channel and noticed that he had released his video of the worst song lyrics of 2015. And at the very top of that list was a song by T.I. featuring Young Thug called Peanut Butter Jelly. In this video, he highlighted that this was simply a throwaway term that had no context whatsoever, and T.I. even admitted this in an interview. Why do I bring this up? Well, it turns out we in the UK had a song that landed on the year-end list called Peanut Butter Jelly, and guess what? This song makes no sense whatsoever either. I defy anyone out there who's listened to this song to tell me with a straight face that this song doesn't piss them off the very instant the vocals kick in. And if you do tell me that you're not bothered at all, then you're lying. Straight up. Jesus. will.i.am, T-Pain and Kesha combined sound more audibly pleasing than this abomination of what could loosely be called music. Along with the 9,000 different vocal effects that are slathered all over this track, and I'd be remiss not to give a mention to the chipmunk vocals. Seriously, are we still using those fucking sound effects? This music is the usual mush of noise that consists of a thudding kick drum, warbled electronic effects, synthesizers and rape alarms that can often be found in any unfocused, unorganised and unlistenable piece of EDM club music that has no place in the singles charts. The lyrics make no sense, telling the listener to spread their money like peanut butter jelly and that Galantis will give you something to do. If it's turning the off button on the radio whenever this trash comes on, hell, I'm up for that. Hey, Chris Brown, you thought you escaped my worst off list 2 years in a row, huh? Well, think again, fucknut. With production courtesy of 24-year-old Mexican-American DJ Eric Orozquieta, aka Deorror, be sure to remember the name because after this track he will never have another hit song after this one. It's more unidentifiable, distinctiveless and uninspired club music that is inseparable from every other club music track out there. The only difference is that this song has the delight of having Chris Brown on it. And whilst this may not be as lyrically atrocious as AO, this is Chris Brown at his most boring. And say what you want about Brown at his worst, at least it's somewhat appealing irrespective of the reaction. With hilarious lines where Brown promises to treat a random woman like a real lady and that he'll give her all of his time, the main reason this song lands on this list above the other three is when you get to that bridge and Brown reaches into that falsetto. Aside from sounding like an android, his voice is pitch shifted to such a high volume it's enough to give the listener tinnitus. It's that horrendous. And quick question, why 5 more hours? What's so specific about this amount of time? Does this bug no one but me? Oh, anyway, moving on.